now call this August 4th meeting of the Oak Ridge Town Council to order. Welcome to everyone here tonight and anyone listening on the live stream. We're so glad you're here with us in service of our great town. I'd now like to invite Mrs. Claudia Whitaker, a member of our Special Events Committee and a long-term resident of Oak Ridge, forward to offer our invocation. Please rise.
Pray with me, please. Father, as we gather together tonight, we have so much for which to give thanks. These blessings include our great country, our state, and our wonderful town, just to name a few. There are so many who work hard to keep our community strong. Our town staff, our council, and all the volunteers who give their time and talents. We lift up to you our fire and rescue company and those who keep us all safe and respond to our emergencies. For all of these people, we are so grateful. We now ask your wisdom for all who serve, that you will guide our speech, our actions, and our decisions. This I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mrs. Whitaker. We appreciate it. We'll now move to item 2, which is approval of our agenda. Is there a motion, Council?
I make a motion we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries and the agenda is approved. We'll now move on to approval of our minutes from our June 29th, the regular meeting for the month of July, as well as a closed session on the same date and the special called meeting on July 21st. Council, you've had an opportunity to review drafts of these minutes. Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the June 29, 2023 regular meeting, June 29, 2023 closed session, and July 21, 2023 special called meeting minutes.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries and the minutes are approved. Thank you. We'll now move to item 4, resolutions, proclamations, and announcements. We have one announcement tonight. On behalf of our town and this council, I'd like to thank nationally recognized artist and Oak Ridge resident, Mr. Roy Nydorf, for loaning us the beautiful painting that now hangs in the entry area of Town Hall, just outside these chambers. This vivid, large-scale oil painting completely changes the space. It's titled Topping Tobacco, and it shows lifelong resident Jack Blaylock as one of 2 men standing in the midst of Mr. Blaylock's tobacco field. Both are topping the flowers on top of the tobacco, part of helping the leaves stay healthy. Mr. Nydorf often sketched the men in the field, which was located across the street from his house, the historic Sanders Blaylock House on Oak Ridge Road. Mr. Nydorf is a prolific and widely recognized artist whose work is included in prestigious American museum collections, including the Smithsonian, the Hirshhorn, the Nelson Atkins in Kansas City. Mr. Nydorf and his wife, Terry Hammond, who helped arrange the loan, are both here tonight. Let's honor them both. Also, I'd like to mention that the beautiful photos taken by Aaron Kai of the historic trees designated as treasure trees by our town's tree board, of which Mr. Nydorf is a member, have been shared. These have been shared during a previous council meeting and online, but now with Terry Hammond's help, they're now framed and are all around our conference room here at Town Hall, and they're just beautiful as well. Please take a moment tonight or someday that you're here in Town Hall to view both the photographs and the beautiful painting. Thank you. We'll now move on to item 5, a report from the Guilford County Sheriff's Office. Do we have someone here tonight? Okay, if they walk in late, we'll try to fit them in. Then we'll move on to the Oak Ridge Fire Department. Chief Gibson.
Good evening, everyone. Gonna let you know a little of what happened last month. So we had a total of 103 calls, 46 of those calls being EMS calls, 2 structure fires. They were in Stokesdale. We just assisted. So, training hours, 457. We do have quite a few people taking outside training, including myself. A lot of us are taking a NIMS class, which is a National Incident Management System. Some of those are required to have a job as a firefighter. Others is just to better your knowledge. So, moving on, I wanted to address something that we do have finally signed a contract for our training facility. The other company we were working with fell through. Of course, prices jumped in the meantime. So we did find another company that specializes in this type of facility, and we are moving forward. There was periodically the question pops up is, why do we need a training center? Because we don't have that many structure fires. We're not Chicago, New York. Well, there's 2 things. It's called perishable skills. Not so much that they're perishable, but the technical aspect of firefighting is forever changing. The next thing is called low frequency, high risk, meaning they don't happen often, but when they do, it is very high risk. And of course, our goal, even leaving home during the morning, is to get back. So we want to have the best training we can. So therefore, we are very fortunate to be able to do this. We've had the backing of the town. The board of directors has been a big backer also, and actually we couldn't do it without them. So that's the next thing I have is we have a gentleman, Bob Ray, who's retired paramedic, and he is trying to, or is going to organize a CERT team, which is a community emergency response team, and that actually uses citizens. In the event of a big emergency, they will come in and assist us. They help their neighbors, whatever the case may be. And I would like to tell you that, and we'll put this on our website also, that Thursday, August 31st at 7:30 p.m. at the Summerfield Community Center, they will be having an information session. And so we'll be letting them use our facility for training. So there is training involved, basic first aid type skills, and it's basically citizens that's able to help out in an emergency. So,
I think that could.
but that's all I have unless anyone has questions.
You have an idea how long before the training center will be?
Well, what we understand, it was 90 days after the building permit is approved by Guilford County. The other company, they had just done the preliminaries, core sampling, you know, everything that leads up to the actual building permit. Also, what I was told that Guilford County is probably the #1 in the state as far as being slow at issuing building permits. So they are actually having a meeting with some of their executives with the Guilford County permitting people
Okay.
board. So, yes, sir.
You may have already said this, but on the citizen volunteer thing, on the 31st, are you going to post that on your Facebook page?
Yeah, we'll have that on the Oak Ridge page.
Okay.
And also on our website, but yeah, I'm sure more people see the Facebook page.
Okay.
Yeah, and Bob Ray is in the audience, so. But yeah, once that's done, then we'll be ready to break ground. And they're saying from breaking ground to the time we're able to train is 90 days. That's one of those, I'll believe it when I see it. This has been a 3.5 year adventure. That's not correct. That we have actually started this and trying to get it moved forward, so.
I like how you phrased that number one, which sounded so good. And I like how you phrased that number one, which sounded good, at being slow.
Yeah, and from what I understand, they're trying to do some kind of law in Guilford County where any county, if they don't have a building permit out in a certain amount of time, whether 60 days, 90 days, there's actually repercussions to that county, so.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate it. So no sheriff's department here, so we will move on to item 7, the town manager's report, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Bruce.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, council. The first item I have for you this evening is several committee appointments, and I'm going to do these separately. The first is a request to appoint Denise Sachs as a full member of the Historic Preservation Commission.
Why don't you do all of them, and then we'll still do 2 motions, but.
The second request is to reappoint 4 members of the Water Advisory Committee. I'm proposing that these 4 reappointments be staggered 2- and 3-year terms so that we don't have a situation like we did tonight where 80% of the board term has expired on the same day. In speaking with the board and in essentially choosing a random distribution, I propose that Aaron English and Brian Hall be reappointed for 2-year terms, and Francis Disney and Phil McNamara for 3-year terms.
Great, thank you. Council, in accordance with our policy regarding appointments to standing boards and committees, and based on a consensus vote of council, consideration of these appointments has been placed on tonight's agenda. So let's start with the appointment of Denise Sachs. Is there a motion on this matter?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we appoint Denise Sachs as a full member of the Historic Preservation Commission.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. And Ms. Sachs is promoted to full member of the HPC. We'll now move on to the reappointment of the Water Advisory Committee members. Is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we reappoint Aaron English and Brian Hall to 2-year terms, and Francis Disney and Phil McNamara to 3-year terms on the Water Advisory Committee.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries, and all 4 members are reappointed, and we're very appreciative for their service. Back to you, Mr. Bruce.
I'm going to turn over to Assistant Town Manager, Ms. Smith.
Good evening, council. I'm here tonight to report on the quarterly fundraising of the Special Events Committee for the Veterans Honor Green. In the quarter that ended June 30th, they raised $22,400. With your permission, they would double that amount by the town match that came from the state, and that would put a grand total of $229,732.24.
Thank you. Council, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to match the $22,400 raised this quarter and move it along with the $22,400 match. The that was raised, and also the remaining $7,383.38 from the state grant to the Veterans Honor Green restricted account.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, the motion carries and the proposed financial, I'm sorry.
You still got to have a vote.
And I got too far ahead. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Just for that, we're all going to say nay.
Yeah. I just blew the whole thing, right? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries, and the proposed actions are approved. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to provide a brief update on the work over at Heritage Farm Park. I hope that most folks got a chance to see the drone images that were placed on our Facebook page and website, and Mike's going to pull up a couple of those still images on the screen so that you can see some of the progress that's been made over the last several months. Work has been going at a healthy pace, and we're on schedule still to have an opening scheduled sometime in the spring of 2024. You can see by these pictures that the rough grading of the athletic fields and the parking lot is nearly complete. Over the next week or two, the contractor is working on installing the irrigation for the two multi-purpose fields, and also coordinating with Duke Energy to bring the main power service line into the property. There's work going on every day. It's exciting to see the progress. I will note that we're very pleased that folks have been respectful of staying outside of the active construction area. There will be a point when the trails are being constructed on the southern half of the property that we're probably going to close that area too, but of course we'll give plenty of notice and post that information on our website.
Great, thank you. Is there any other business tonight?
One other announcement to make, and that is that the town staff has installed a permanent digital radar sign on Haw River Road. As council will recall, this was authorized several months ago after the second tragic accident on Haw River Road. The sign is designed to alert drivers who are heading eastbound on Haw River Road into the town of Stokesdale that they're approaching an area with residential driveways and potentially greater conflicts, including pedestrians. Here's an image of the sign taken today. It's up and it's operational. We will be collecting data and determining whether or not there's a effectiveness that would warrant potential other placements at town's pleasure. So we're excited that that's up. We're about to undergo a public information campaign on some pedestrian and motorist safety that we'll be sharing on our website and on Facebook as well.
Thank you. Council, any questions for Mr. Bruce?
Fine job by Ashley. It was a really good job by Ashley getting it all brought together and getting it taken care of.
And she'll continue to monitor the software, make changes to the messaging, and collecting the data.
Kind of curious on one thing. Where are we on starting construction on the community center?
The contractor has been given a notice to proceed no later than August the 31st.
Okay.
I had one question about the speed limit sign. You're collecting data, and will that be like compared or analyzed along with all of the data that DOT did when they did their traffic study out there? So we have a baseline.
That's right.
Without the signage.
That's right.
And we can compare, okay.
Right, and it's interesting because that data, just as a reminder, showed that people come in pretty hot, coming from the west, and they start slowing down a little bit, but we want them to slow down more, like maybe to the speed limit.
Well, I got to tell you one thing. When I was up there today taking a picture of this thing that I'm using on my site, I came out of one of the subdivisions, and there's a double line there, right? So anyway, I'm getting started. This guy comes behind me, passes me on the double line. I mean, there's some crazy stuff going on up there. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. One interesting feature about the sign is you can turn it off and it will still collect data. So you can turn it off and see what effect not having the sign on is also there too, so.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Nothing else? Okay, then we'll move to item number 8, which is the first of 2 periods for public comment. Speakers must provide their name and address and are asked to keep their comments under 3 minutes. Is there anyone who wishes to speak tonight? Seeing no one, I'll close this period for public comment, and we'll move on to item 9, new business. And the first one, I'll invite Mr. Bruce to present the proposal with Piedmont Triad Regional Council.
Thank you. Your packets contain a proposal from PTRC to update the town's development ordinance. As I noted in my memo, the town has done periodic updates to our development ordinance over the years, but the primary structure and text of the development ordinance is over 30 years old. So this is a long overdue project. It's a big and complex project to streamline and modernize and utilize best practices in our zoning and subdivision ordinances. There will be no substantive changes other than incorporating the village core overlay zoning requirements into the development ordinance. So we anticipate that the Planning and Zoning Board will be the primary steering committee and will meet and will be presented multiple times over the next 15 months with progress on the development ordinance update. And like I said, it's projected to take roughly 15 months to complete. So it's a big project, and we're pleased that PTRC is available and willing to help us make this happen.
Thank you.
The request from Council is to approve the proposal for consulting assistance for a total of $79,500.
Thank you. Council, is there a motion on this
Yes,
matter?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we vote to approve the proposal for PTRC for consulting assistance for $79,500.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Councilman McClellan, since you made the motion, would you like to speak to it?
Well, all I can say is I'm very familiar with PTRC. As the town's representative with PTRC, I think we'll get that level of implementation and, proposals, particularly for the Village Feel project. And I think I can't think of a better group of folks.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Kinnaman, any comments or questions?
We're not going to be looking to, say, adjust any of our other overlays as part of this?
Yes, one of the goals of the project is to streamline, rather than adding an additional overlay zone for the village core, to somehow streamline and incorporate the scenic corridor overlay zoning and the village core into one overlay zone. And that's part of the simplification of the ordinance, just reducing the amount of bureaucracy and overlay that's inherent. And one way to do that is by reducing the number of overlay zones.
Okay. And this doesn't require any adjustment to the budget?
No, this was included in the consulting budget for this year. Yes.
Okay, good. All right, that's fine. That's all.
Councilwoman Pittman.
I just think it's important to have ordinances that are readable. And currently, sometimes they're not. And that you don't have to look a dozen different places to find the answer to the question that you're asking when a matter is before us, or when a resident asks you a question, and Bill's not available right then. So I'm in favor of letting them do that. That's their job, that's their specialty, and so I'm happy with that.
Councilman Sullivan.
But we have been very fortunate to have PTRC as a resource to call on, which we have done several times in the past. They're a very professional group, and I have every confidence that they will once again serve admirably in our stead. And I'm very much in favor of this.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's natural for any sort of handbook of ordinances like this to, over 15 years, just suffer and become more cumbersome due to the accretion of things being added to it. And the result will be more functional so that perhaps we won't need a planning degree in order to read through the ordinances. We do want residents to be able to understand what's in them, even though they're often going to come to our staff for assistance. Is there any further discussion? If not, we'll proceed to a vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries, and the proposal with PTRC is approved. We'll now move on to consideration of a proposal with Bars Recreation, and I'll turn it back to Mr. Bruce.
Thank you. Over the last month, the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board has reviewed proposals from 4 playground manufacturers and installers for the new playground at Heritage Farm Park. Firms were instructed to incorporate accessible elements into their design and to reflect the farm theme of Heritage Farm Park. A poured-in-place surface that's suitable for ADA accessibility was also a prerequisite for all of the proposed designs. The firms that submitted were instructed to design a playground within the town's $350,000 playground budget. At its meeting on July the 20th, the Parks and Rec Board selected Bars Recreation, which is no relation to Bar Construction. Bars Recreation was selected due to its creative design, its inclusive elements, elements for older children, and its supplemental warranty. There's a site plan in your packets and also a digital rendering that Mike has put up on the screen. And John Browning, co-chair of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, is here this evening, and I would invite him forward to share any additional thoughts that the Parks and Rec Board can share.
Good evening, Council. It's good to be with you. John Browning, 8024 Linville Road. We appreciate the opportunity that y'all have tasked us with about selecting a vendor for the playground at the Heritage Farm Park. We took this task and decision, a lot of input went into that, and we spent a lot of time in searching local playgrounds who have recently installed playgrounds, especially incorporating the inclusivity. Again, that was the big item for us, and so between visiting other local playgrounds, and we had a special called meeting, it was felt by our group that Bars Construction offered the best plan and design as features, again, especially incorporating the inclusivity and the pour-in-place surface will let kids of all different mobilities be able to access and play on the equipment. But again, we thought Bars was a clear choice in the features that they offered the town, because we really wanted to make this an extraordinary place and not just have what's across the road, but create a good environment for all kids, between young and old, and children of all abilities and disabilities to be able to play side by side. And so we felt like Bars offered us that, met all our goals about choosing the best design and playground that was out there. So do y'all have any questions of me?
Contract question. Now or later?
Let's thank Mr. Browning then, and,
That's for him.
It might, well,
oh,
the question I had
Yeah.
was I see the warranty, supplemental warranty extension, but I did not see a mention in the paperwork we've got on what the warranty period is, both for the equipment and the surface. Do we have that information?
It's 1 year.
Yeah,
1 year.
It is buried in there somewhere. I found it eventually.
What's that?
I found it eventually, too. It's buried in there.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
okay, thank you, and thank you, Mr. Browning. Council, is there a motion on this matter?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the proposal from Bar Recreation for the purchase and installation of playground equipment at Heritage Farm Park for the total of $350,000.
I'll second it.
The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? We'll start with you since you made that motion, Councilman McClellan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The one thing I like about this park so much is just what you said. It's inclusive for children of all abilities. And I think that's so important in today's world. If there's one thing that I have learned is that I don't believe there's any real disabilities. I believe there's just varying abilities in certain areas. So I think I'm glad to see that this is finally reaching the point where we can award and fund the money and get it done. It's been a long haul, hasn't it? And so, anyway, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Kinnaman.
I've asked and you've answered this question, but could you re-answer the question about the shade structure? Just clarify exactly what we're getting shade structure-wise.
The hardtop roof that covers several of the elements, and there's actually some roofing on several of the elements will provide essentially the bulk of the shade on the playground. The Parks and Rec Board has always been interested and has prioritized shade. However, in this situation, given the 4 different proposals that they received, they felt that with this proposal, including more play elements, was more highly prioritized than a shade structure to keep within the $350,000 budget that was available to them.
Do they have plans in the future for some shade structures, though?
There's some opportunities to continue to investigate that, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Pittman.
One of the things that I'm thankful for is the additional funding that we got from Guilford County, because that allowed us to go ahead and fund a larger and more complex playground at Heritage Farm Park than we had planned. I actually was at the meeting for a different reason, but I got to listen to the Parks and Rec discussion on their selection. There were 2 proposals that were clear favorites out of the 4, and both of them were just excellent. But one of the things that I liked about this proposal is the integration of the sensory play. Not all disabilities are physical, and sensory play has become important with kids. The accessible features, they will allow children with disabilities to play alongside children without disabilities. And I think that makes our goal when we say inclusive, because we want to create a space in which all kids can play, and they can play together. It isn't like you have this space and we have this space. They can all play together. I think the BAR's proposal recommended by Parks and Rec meets that goal. And I like the extra little added warranty.
Thank you. Councilman Sullivan.
Just a quick observation, as I looked over the proposal, it's interesting to me that virtually half the total cost is in the surface that will be under the equipment. And it's not just any surface. They call it a safety surface, but it will protect kids that fall from a height of 8 feet. So there's a reason for the cost. And I think that's a very, very important element in this. And the other observation I've got is this once again puts us at the forefront of providing facilities in the northwestern part of the county. That is one of the reasons we got the grant that we did from the county, was because there's no such facility as this in this area. So we'll be serving not just Oak Ridge, but all of the northwestern part of the county.
Great point. Thank you. Yeah, this is an excellent plan with lots of play opportunities for kids of a wide variety of ages and abilities. And I am very thankful to the Guilford County Board of Commissioners for their support of this. And one thing I heard when I talked to John Browning about this was that there may be opportunities to plant the ultimate shade structures, which are trees nearby along the edges of this area, which I would love to see. I think that would be a great addition. And I want to really thank our Parks and Rec Advisory Committee for the long hours they spent going through these proposals and preparing for it and visiting other playgrounds, and for their strong recommendation of this proposal. If there's no further discussion, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries, and the proposal with BAR's recreation for a playground at Heritage Farm Park is approved. Thank you. We'll now move on to Item C, and back to you again, Mr. Bruce.
The final item under new business is a consideration of the remaining portion of the park entrance master plan. I'll note that at Town Council's special called meeting on June the 8th, Town Council approved the bulk of the town park entrance master plan, including all hardscaping, parking, sidewalks, landscaping along Linville Road and along Lisa Drive. What remained to be resolved was foundational plannings around the farmhouse structure itself. That proposed plan is in your packets, and the requested action is to approve the remaining portion of the town park entrance master plan, landscape plan.
Thank you, Mr. Bruce. Council, is there a motion on this matter?
I make a motion, we approve the Town Park Entrance Master Plan landscape as presented.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Would you like to begin any discussion, any comments? Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, the main thing is, I have to give a lot of kudos to Mr. Sullivan down there for a lot of the changes. One of the big things, I think, was, taking notice of simple little, what appears to be simple little things like planting density, to make sure that the point he made was, this is a farmhouse. It would not have, packed wall-to-wall-to-wall flowers, so the flowers were spaced out. So these are little things that, I was very impressed with Mr. Sullivan's observation. So I give him a lot of credit for where we are today on this landscape plan. And it's going to look really nice. I mean, we got one of the big things near and dear to my heart, we got a couple extra trees. We moved a couple trees around to make them more functional and more appropriate. We got a lot of input from the tree board on some of this stuff, so it's going to look really pretty. So I'm impressed with it.
Thank you. Councilman McClellan, any comments, questions?
No, actually, I'm glad that we're getting this done here, and Jim, you're right. Spencer's help, and I learned a lot about flowers in that meeting.
Thank you.
And there you go.
Thank you. Councilwoman Pittman.
Yes, I'm happy to approve the landscape plan as presented. I think it's appropriate now to the history of the farmhouse. I think it'll complement the building and provide some beautiful focal points throughout the year. My understanding is that we will bid this out separately from the hardscape, and we will have the opportunity to maybe tweak some of our plant choices and placements with the contractor. I'm hoping we will have some knowledgeable and experienced landscapers from our local area bid on it so that we can benefit from their experience here. And I'm just glad we're saving the swamp lilies.
Good point. Councilman Sullivan.
When we first reviewed this, I had two suggestions. One was to reduce the number of plants, but also to reduce the size. I think the thing that struck me about the original plan was that it literally was going to hide the farmhouse, but behind large shrubs. And what's the point? And the other was, we did want to have more period-appropriate plants and flowers. And I think both those goals have been accomplished in this revised plan, so I'm very pleased with it.
Thank you. Well, I think all the relevant points have been made, so if there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The motion carries, and the landscaping portion of the Town Park Entrance Master Plan is approved. We'll now move on to item number 10, the monthly financial update, and we'll turn to Finance Officer Mr. Sam Anders for his report.
Do we get twice as much finance this month, since we only didn't get much last month?
Yes, things went better. They kind of caught up on a few things. Taxes started coming in and some other things. Everyone should have got a copy of the financials this afternoon. For the month, we received $113,581.68 in revenues. And we spent $246,000, so we reduced fund balance by $133. We're still maintaining a strong cash balance with $7.5 million in the bank, of which this is including a little less than $3 million in the loan proceeds, plus the ICS accounts, and the ARP money. So that's where we got a lot in the bank, but it's restricted and/or slated for the park. We've got, in summary, $3.2 million at Truist, almost $3.3 million at Bank of Oak Ridge, and $1,014,000 at Piedmont Federal. Schedule 2, you've got all your expenses there, followed by the updated Schedule 3. I'm turning my head sideways here. Depreciation schedules and everything for all the assets updated for the assets during the current year up through the close of business. We coordinated that with the auditors, and that's the same report the auditors get. And then on page 4 is the debt service schedule. But we did have some progress. The revenues did come in more so. We've received ACH wire transfer remitting $71,257.14 in property taxes, $10,180.46 in vehicle taxes for the month of July, for a total of $81,400. This is all our collections. The computer error that we detected, they have rectified from May. We received the interest. Wow, this makes me sound like I'm really tall. The interest error that we found that was due to a processing issue, that has been remitted. And the good news is we had a joint work session by Zoom between the State Department of Revenue, Guilford County Finance, Guilford County Tax, and myself, because we had detected the problem with the underlying reports. And long story short, really great meeting. It lasted about an hour and 15 minutes. With everyone checking computers, checking their papers. We went through everything, and we finally realized and got it down that it was going to be rectified by the state. The spreadsheets, they drive a lot of their data transfer on Excel spreadsheets, and somewhere in the transfers, the columns got slid, and they assumed everything got moved up or down. Well, some went up and some went down, so basically it took several people and a couple of weeks, but they got everything rectified. The money we received that we were being told was over $10,000 in excess of what we were supposed to get, and then we actually owed the county back a check. Everything was to the penny accurate. But once they got everything unscrambled, but it was good cooperative effort. Jim Rowland, that I've told you about, he's been with Guilford a long time in the tax department. He was the ringleader on this. He got Vince Behringer with finance involved. So we've got good cooperation with the county. They collect the monies, they remit them, they report them for us, and everything worked out really well. That's not something I wanted to go into the audit, trying to explain why we got a $10,000 overpayment. But everything on that worked out well. The collections report for this month, everything, again, balanced to the penny, and we've got everything. For the month, we had sales and property tax like normal. Interest for June, which will be reported next month because it's reported after the financials are done. ABC board distribution, once again, very strong revenue. Other park revenues, special events at the park had some receipts, miscellaneous income, and donations to the Veterans Honor Green. We're still watching the investments, balancing for any place we can get a better rate of return. For the month with staff, we had grant compliance. Again, that's pretty much a standard. ARPA, the SCIF grant, CIP process. Bill's monitoring. He had asked me and Bill the 2 grant requests to the town, from the town to the state, have not been received yet. So Bill has made some requests. The state is usually a few weeks to a couple of 3 months on processing. So we're still looking for those, but we've got it on the radar to watch out for that. The budget adjustments totaled a grand total of $85,554.88 to balance out through June 30th. Most of this was involved around extra professional services for handling everything with LGC and with the loan and all of that process that we went through for the funding for the park. Also, given insurance rates and some other things over the course of the year. When we do the budget and draft it, we have to make a good faith estimate on percentages, on increases for the healthcare and overtime and all those sorts of things. All of that kind of bled through over the course of the year, so we had a grand total of $85,000, as I said, in adjustments. When you're on a multi-million-dollar budget, this was very, very, very minor final adjustment. But we are in balance. Auditors will be back the last week of this month. Last full week is what we're scheduled now for final field work. So all of that's on track. We've been supporting them. They've had a few inquiries from initial information that we had during the interim period. So they're still working on it. So all of that's underway. Right now, the other main thing on the radar is we're waiting on the first draws on the construction project. So we know that's coming, and that's going to be some adjusting we have to do because they were actually working during June. So I've got to do some calculations once we get the paperwork. But as with other town projects, the project management will be monitoring and verifying everything so that when I receive the documents, everything will already have been vetted and verified. And we will go through our process then of contacting, well, actually, we're going to start paying out of the ARPA funds first to hold off on the loan proceeds as long as we can. We'll spend ARPA first, the other grant money with PARTA for reimbursement, then we'll move into the loan because of the terms whereby if we don't use all that money, we can pay it back in a lump sum. So we've got the schedule set up, we've cost valued it, and we're going to be working on this and paying it in the most advantageous way we can. But overall, good start to the first month. We'll have a few tweaks on some reports. The back end of the software company is doing some adjusting on some of the programming for the rollover, as it's called, going from one year to the next year, because in the computer, we actually have 13 months. The auditor's stuff goes in the 13th month. So we're going to be a couple of tweaks. There was an account we needed to move out of the presentation on the balance sheet. I had to leave it in because if we move anything while they're programming in the background, it can be not fun. So we'll be tweaking a few things. And we will be, as we are adding assets, we'll be tweaking the asset listings and all of that. So overall, good start to the new year.
Great. Excellent. Thank you. Council, any questions for Mr. Anders?
With the, typically, I know we give you permission to make budget amendments, but don't we usually approve those budget amendments after you've made them?
Yes, and I do apologize. Yes, y'all normally do. And I made copies, but apparently I did not. Yes.
I think it's
bad.
because we met before the end of the month last month.
Last month was a little strange because...
Well, these are the normal end-of-year budget amendments that
Yeah.
he comes through.
I thought
That's
we
right.
At the end of the year.
I do
yeah.
apologize. I've actually got those.
thought
Because of
we
4th
already
of July.
authorized him to do that.
Yes, and I apologize. I've got those. I did not stick those in the scanner.
So Councilman Sullivan just asked a question. We did authorize him to go ahead and make we authorized you to make the changes.
Yes.
But
Yes.
what
Still have to
Mayor Pro
approve
Tem is saying is that we still
we
need
know-
to approve it.
I think we're doing more as a formality, but
Yeah.
historically, we've always approved your budget amendments,
Yep.
so.
And that's normally the July meeting, but because of the holiday. So it's, yeah, I had to explain to the auditors why we had 2 meetings in June.
Well, you have it here as a total, and I know that you usually give it to us broken
That's what he's
down.
got.
Yep, that's what I've got
And-
right here.
Oh, okay.
This is all three, due to the nature of the computer, we split it into 3 different adjustment lines. Based on the characters and the funds, we can only adjust so many in a fund at one time.
Here you go. Martha, you can make the motion when the time comes.
Yeah, we're going to let the accountant make the motion.
Make sure it foots. Does it foot? Are you
Yeah.
sure it foots?
Yes, it does.
To 85,554.
So we need two motions, then, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's start with this one.
Easy one. Or the hard one, yes.
I make a motion that we approve the budget amendments totaling $85,554.88. That one of them is $27,772.88. That has to do with a whole lot of operating expenses, including insurance. And one is $43,282 for salaries and related payroll taxes. And one is $14,500 for increased counting fees.
I'll second
Right.
it.
The motion has been made and seconded. Are there any questions or discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries and the budget amendments are, is approved. We will next need a motion regarding accepting the financial report.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we accept the financial report as presented, or I guess as amended as well, and by our Chief Financial Officer.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries and the financial report is accepted. Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate all your hard work and that of your office staff. We'll now move to item 11, committee reports, and I'm going to invite reports of up to 3 minutes from our boards and committees and community organization. Ms. Smith, our Assistant Town Manager, will keep time for us. We'll start with, did we have a planning and zoning meeting this past? We didn't, okay. So we'll move on to Mountains to Sea Trail. I don't see anyone.
I'll make an announcement.
Yes, go ahead.
We do have a workday scheduled on Saturday, August the 19th. It will be from 9 until 12, working out on the Headwaters Trail. Meet at Linville Road Trailhead.
Thank you. Conservation Easement Committee did not meet. Special events, Ms. Demchowski, come on down.
Patty Domchowski, 7320 Hidden View Drive. Veterans Honor Green, thank you, Council, for the matching for this quarter. Thank you also for the additional dollars. We are so close. We're not going to stop fundraising. We're going to continue to do it, but we are close. And we're hoping that the bids for construction are going to be sent out in August. Our 4th of July Kids Bike Parade was a huge success. There's great participation from the community with over 400 folks attending. We were thinking 25, maybe 75 people. It was a great showing by the town. Local ice cream vendor To the Moon and Back gave out free ice cream, and the Lions Club provided free hot dogs to all the kids. We had wonderful coverage from the Northwest Observer, and the local Fox News station also had us live on video. Lots of positive feedback, and the committee decided that this will become an annual event. The committee is going to work on suggested improvements to the event for next year. Special events will again participate in Heritage Day on Saturday, September 30th. We will sponsor another pound cake contest that was very popular last year. Proceeds from the selling of the slices will go to the Veterans Fund. 9/11 Memorial will be in the park again this year, by the flagpole, by the restrooms, and the memorial will be left up for the entire weekend. The Light of the Night event is coming together with the addition of this year of the 25 wooden stars on the front lawn to celebrate our 25th anniversary. Oak Ridge's 25th anniversary volunteer dinner celebration will be on January 20th at the Oak Ridge Methodist Church. Invitations will be sent out later in the year to all the current volunteers, town council members, and all the folks that have made significant contributions to Oak Ridge. We have a new 25th logo that's been designed and approved by the committee. We will now move forward with our 25th anniversary T-shirts, ornaments, and lapel pins. And we're hoping to have the T-shirts ready for Heritage Day. The 100th anniversary of the Benbow House is set for Saturday, October 15th, same format as last year, and Marina Shepherd will sponsor the event with proceeds going, again, to the Veterans Fund.
I think it's 200 years, 1823.
Oh, I'm sorry, 200 years. You're right, sorry, Ann. And my last item, we are going to have a representative from the Oak Ridge Scouts as a permanent member on our committee. Her name is Olivia Rudolph, and she will be our interface for all the Scout involvement with our events. We try to include the Scouts on all our events, and so this just seems very appropriate to do. Any questions, comments?
Good job. Terrific.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tree Board, Mr. Browning.
Hello again, Council. It's good to be with you. John Browning, 8024 Linville Road. Our tree board met this morning for our August meeting, and we were happy to be back in session after missing last month. But we basically spent our time planning for our booth at Heritage Day. We're excited to announce we're going to have Taylor Jones. He's a horticulturalist, tree expert from Guilford County Extension at our booth, again, for Heritage Day to answer any and all tree questions that anyone has. So we're excited to have Taylor, but we're getting ready for, again, a big Heritage Day, and that's the only thing, the bulk of our business. So anybody have any questions?
We need to remember next month to do, an Arbor Day declaration to make, so we get tree board again next year? Isn't that, because we have to...
Yes, it's on our lineup of things for,
Okay, I just want to make sure we
Future
don't miss,
committee mem-
we don't miss
future
one of the
council meetings.
technicalities.
yes.
It's-
Yes, we'll get that, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Let's see, Parks and Rec Advisory Board, you just stay right there.
I'll just stay right here. I'm still John Browning, still at 8024 Linville Road. I do appreciate your approval of Bars Recreation for our playground at Heritage Farm. We're terribly excited. And I did want to emphasize one thing that Councilman Sullivan mentioned. This pour-in-place rubberized surface is a whole lot safer. I think it's just going to make for a better surface for us. There won't be the ongoing maintenance problem of the park staff having to replace mulch every year. So we think it's going to be a big hit. And there's a drainage area underneath the pour-in-place, so we shouldn't have any or many rain-out days. So when fields are too wet to play on, hopefully they'll be able to go out in the playground and play. But otherwise, moving on, we had our meeting July 20th, and again, we had some big decisions to make in addition to the playground. We, again, approved the concept for the community farmhouse. We're excited to have that project ongoing and get that going on down the road with that. Some of the new information, as you well know, we're in the process of reworking our annual agreement with the Oak Ridge Youth Association. And our proposal, in our proposed draft in that agreement is to increase the rates for our non-resident players from $8 per player per person to $15. Again, that's just a proposal. And we sent that to the Youth Association Board for their consideration. So again, that we'll start at the first of the year, but that's our annual agreement with the Youth Association. So it remains a good relationship with the Youth Association, I think, so we're happy to work with them about that. And other things that we did approve for a second sheriff's deputy to be at our Music in the Parks, just to enforce our relatively new rule of no outside alcohol or beverages to be brought in. So we thought that was a good, and in fact, Mr. Bruce and his staff have done some signage to indicate no outside food or beverages for that. So we're happy to have that second deputy just to, again, help us enforce that. And speaking of Music in the Park, upcoming, we have on the August 12th, the Plaids, and they advertise to be the Piedmont's #1 party band. And it's their farewell tour, so we're expecting a big crowd for that. And again, they're a real good, popular band, 6:30 to 8:30, so that's going to be, we don't just have 2 remaining sponsored events, so we're terribly excited on August 12th to have the Plaids. Other dates, we have a movie in the park, August 11th. It's going to be Super Mario, August 11th. So it seems like we can just spend the weekend at the park, y'all. Still working on Ridge Fest, August 7th through 9th, and the traditional fun events with fireworks and rides, but we're going to have Touch a Truck is a new part to Music in the Park. Terry and Ashley have worked hard to secure that new feature for Ridge Fest. Heritage Day, September 30th, so again, we're all looking forward to that. So it's going to be a busy and active and fun into summer, first to fall, so.
I think
We
you meant
appreciate that.
September 7th through 9th for Ridge Fest, right?
You're right, September, yeah, September, yeah.
Otherwise, it would be too soon.
I know, that'd be too much in 1 month, I know. Any questions or other comments?
No, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your committee's work. Finance Committee did not meet, but I see our chair here, or
Chair
Yes,
Emeritus.
that's right, emeritus, right.
Emeritus.
He's just here watching,
Chair
okay.
Emeritus,
Water
yeah.
Advisory Board, Mr. Harton. I'm not going to get used to this easily. Change is hard.
Good evening, Jim Harton, 5901 Pepper Road. The Water Advisory Committee met on July 26th. We had three major things we dealt with. First of all is the water system itself. Josh Powers of EnvironLink indicated that 9 homes are sold at Honeycutt Reserve. There are 2 more foundations in place. However, we are waiting on final state inspection prior to the transfer of the water system to the town. And once that occurs, then water meters can be installed. And so we expect that this should get done in the next few weeks. As far as the water tank, Wooten is currently working on electrical designs, grading plans, piping designs for connecting the tank to the Oak Ridge Fire Department. This work is almost complete. As far as the water line work from Forsyth County to the town, this is ongoing and will take at least another couple of months. The primary portion of our meeting was focused on the interlocal agreement with Winston-Salem and Forsyth County. I was pleased at the meeting that all of the members of the committee had taken some time to read a very difficult document, as well as comments that we received from our consultant, Tom Roberts, and comments from Chuck Donnell, Josh Powers, and Mike Myers of EnvironLink that we asked to review the documents. Key issues were related to monthly and running costs for water, the mechanism for calculating the daily maximum per day rate, and other costs related to infrastructure and operational costs, including chlorine residual flushing that may be needed over time. The committee asked Bill Bruce to work with our town attorney to get these issues captured and back to Winston-Salem, Forsyth County. In addition, Bill Bruce and Sandra Smith were asked to see if they could get copies of current water agreements with Winston-Salem, Forsyth County from Stokesdale, Clemens, and Louisville. That was the full meeting we had. Any questions?
The big
Doing an
meeting. Big
doing
meeting.
Outstanding job.
It was a lot of work, but the committee was prepared. I was real pleased with
Well,
that.
Yeah, that's
Tell
great.
them they did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
are doing a great job.
We'll now move on to Historic Preservation Commission. We've got Ms. Engel here, whose picture is in the paper today.
Yeah.
Yes.
But this is the real thing.
Good evening. Our HPC met,
Name and address.
oh, sorry. I thought you already said it. Barbara Angle, 8524 Rosedale Drive, Oak Ridge. The HPC had their monthly meeting on July 19th, 2023. We approved a COA to build a commercial building at 2101 Oak Ridge Road. Our Heritage Oak Ridge book is being proofed by Denise Sachs for grammatical errors, and the committee made the decision to hire Matthew Snyder as our copy editor. The scripts for the Historic District walking tours are near completion. The committee has decided to schedule September 23rd and October 21st, 2023 as tour dates. We'll tour the west side of the Historic District in September and the east side of the Historic District in October. We're also open to group tours on other dates. We'd like to thank Graham Curley, a local Oak Ridge High School student who requested that the town have tours more often and helped write the scripts. With Courtney Harton as lead, the HPC is planning to be a part of the Heritage Day event. We recently had 2 people contact the HPC to discuss possible historic heritage grants for a historic home and a barn. We wanted to thank Carolyn Ruck for her many, many years of service. She has decided to step down and join other town committees. With her expertise, they will be very welcomed, I'm sure. And also, as you heard tonight, Denise Sachs is now a full-time member of the HPC Commission. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, just once again, what were the dates of those tours?
Pardon?
What were the dates of those tours?
Okay, just a second. September 23rd and October 21st.
21st. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great job.
Thank you. And now we'll move on to item 12. I don't think we have a representative from the elementary school here today, or from the Youth Association.
I did see their list of things. They did have quite a number of things to report, but unfortunately, they're not here to report them. But they have done quite a bit of activities. They've done quite a bit of work up at the elementary school, repairing the concession stand and a bunch of other stuff. So they're very active. I just want to make sure people know that. But like I said, they're not here, so there's a lot of other stuff they could report.
Oh, one thing I forgot under the committee reports. I wanted to ask if council's okay with this for our assistant town manager to give a brief report since she's on the Heritage Day Committee. And I thought that would be timely this month because it's a short-term committee.
Yes, in case you haven't heard, Heritage Day is September 30th. We are really looking forward to it this year. I'm not sure how many years we've done Heritage Day. This is probably around the 7th. It gets bigger and better every year. Again, this year, we'll have gem mining, and also we will have a petting zoo for the first time with farm animals. So we're really looking forward to that. Also, all our great community organizations that are part of that. We've got historic reenactors, military groups, just fire department, every group you can think of practically, we try to include. So we're looking forward to that. Oak Ridge Town Park at the parking lot at Linville Road, and that'll be from 10 to 4 that day.
Going to have a cannon again this year?
Yes, we're having the cannon.
There we go.
Be ready at 11, 1, and 3, because it will be loud.
Yep.
Excellent.
Thank you so much. And I don't see anyone here from the Oak Ridge Military Academy, but everybody take a look at, I think it was on their Facebook page or it was on Angie, staff member at the Military Academy. They're having a great event called Bridge to the Ridge on September 23rd, I think. Triad Municipal ABC Board, Mr. Barbary.
Jim Barbary, 7903 Quiet Place, and I'm with the Triad Municipal ABC Board. So I want to give a quick perspective of where we fit in. There's about 50 boards in North Carolina, and we rank number 4 behind Mecklenburg, Wake, and Greensboro. So we're one of the bigger boards. Now and then, Wilmington, the New Hanover board, gets ahead of us. We're right about the same size. The total sales for June for North Carolina was $131 million. So there's a lot of money involved in alcohol, if y'all weren't aware. So the Triad Board that we're part of has 16 stores, and by sales volume, we're number 16. So we're the small store. But with that said, our quarterly income, the distribution to the town of Oak Ridge for the last quarter from April till June was $59,044, which I think is maybe the most it's ever been. Does that make sense to you without looking it up? So y'all keep buying liquor.
A real advocate. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
We'll now move to item number 13, which is a second period for public comments. Again, we ask speakers to state their name and address for the record and to be brief. Is there anyone who wishes to speak? Ms. Domchowski will.
Patty Domchowski, 7320 Hidden View Drive. I just wanted to compliment the Parks and Rec Department for the playground equipment that they have. And I don't know if people noticed it, but the theme that they have is the farming theme, which is just continues, with the Heritage Farm area. So I thought it was great. And I thank you from my bottom of my heart for my kids when they fall off these pieces of equipment now that they will be fine. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Mr. Stone.
Fix that. Mike Stone, 8112 Hunting Cog Road. Now that the filing period's over for municipal elections, I wish to inform the town council and the citizens of Oak Ridge that I'm running for town council. Many of you in attendance tonight are aware of my community involvement. Former Planning and Zoning Vice Chairman, former town council member. I'm the current president of the Board of Directors for Preservation Oak Ridge Foundation. I am a member of the Oak Ridge Military Academy Board of Trustees. I'm the president of the the Old Mill Homesteads Homeowners Association, which is the oldest homeowners association and oldest neighborhood in Oak Ridge. I'm also a volunteer for Oak Ridge cruise-ins that are occurring at Oak Ridge Commons and also at Ridge Fest. Being a board member of Preservation Oak Ridge, as well as being a board member on Oak Ridge Military Academy, and being a lifelong resident of the area, provides me a unique insight into the historic roots of our community. As a vet with the United States Air Force, as Jim is, my family and I are staunch supporters of the Veterans Honor Green. I believe that all these activities demonstrate my long-term commitment to the town of Oak Ridge, to the citizens of Oak Ridge, and makes me a strong candidate to represent the citizens of Oak Ridge, and I would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Ms. Engel.
It's way up. Barbara Engel, 8524 Rosedale Drive. I just wanted to say congratulations to Sam and his wife Deborah on their recent anniversary, and also to Spencer and Linda because they share the same anniversary as Frank and I. We both were married in 1966 on August 20th. So we are celebrating 57 years of marriage this year.
Thank you. That was sweet. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak tonight? Seeing no one, we will move on to council comments, and we'll open a period of brief comments for council members, and we'll start with you, Councilman Sullivan.
Thank you. I didn't expect that, Barb. Thank you. Just a couple of comments. I'm pleased the speed monitoring sign is in operation up on Haw River Road. I want to thank our staff, but especially Ashley Royal for all her hard work in doing that. It took her months to get that done. And I thought it was interesting that she put the post on, I think, our Facebook page mid-afternoon, and about the same time, she issued a press release. At about 5:07 this afternoon, that press release, the picture was all on Channel 8 News as one of their lead news articles, which they were very interested in following up on this, and they really did follow through. And I really want to commend our staff. I know some of our committees are aware of the work that staff has put in to get all of these different projects we've got going on underway. But it's not over now that the bids have been let. There is a tremendous amount of work involved in continuing to finish up the work on awarding the contracts, and now especially administering all of these contracts. The work doesn't stop, and they're doing a terrific job, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Pittman.
I've got a couple of announcements. One of them, I'm going to repeat the Parks and Rec announcement about Community Movie Night on Friday, August 11th at Oak Ridge Town Park. It's going to be Super Mario Brothers, which I think more of an old video game, but and there's also going to be some food vendors, so you come early before dark, and then once the movie starts, I believe there's going to be free popcorn, and so bring your family. It's a lot of fun. And to steal Jim's line, donating blood is a true gift, and the Summit Church is having their blood drive for this quarter, August the 17th, from 1:30 to 6 p.m. At the church on Highway 68. It's hard to believe that summer's almost over. I feel like summer just started, other than we're all tired of the heat. But before our September meeting, schools will be in session again. So I'm wishing all the students a safe rest of their summer and a successful start of their school year, and to remind all of us to be good and kind neighbors those first few weeks of school. At the end of August before we meet again can be hard. The kids are establishing a new routine. The parents are figuring out the best time and route to get their kids to school. And all of us need to be patient with them, as well as we ask them to be courteous of those of us that aren't dealing with school at this point in our lives. So that's it.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Kinnaman.
Well, if you'd like to donate blood a little bit earlier, the United Methodist Church has their blood drive on the 14th. One thing going for their blood drive is they have a drawing for 4 $50 gift cards. So that's something you might want to consider. But either place is perfectly good. And if you can't donate those 2 days, there are many other blood drives around. So the important thing is, if you can give blood, do give blood at your convenience. But both the Summit Church and the Oak Ridge Methodist make it very easy to do it in town. Also with the school, we will have the sheriff again, deputies directing traffic again. We do that for the first 2 weeks? Yeah. So at the town expense, we hire sheriff deputies to help direct traffic for the first 2 weeks in school to kind of help get things settled. One major problem my wife would like you to solve is Canada geese have discovered our neighborhood. So if you can do anything with that, 22 of them.
Are those illegal aliens?
No, and the thing is, I understand they're protected. You can't just, dispose of them. So. There is a season?
There is a season.
Okay, all right then.
Okay.
Well, it might get my wife into hunting. For some reason, she despises them.
Thanksgiving dinner,
Yes.
the fatted goose.
Well, I don't know. I always call them nature's B-17s for carpet bombing. And might explain some of the unpopularity. But also, if you want to go and get your blood or give blood at the United Methodist Church, I believe that, don't we have Jim's Baked Goods there?
I will try this time to have some baked goods.
Which is something that the other place doesn't have.
But we have Chick-fil-A.
Oh.
And I haven't seen it this time, but just every time I've given at the summit, you're offered a Chick-fil-A.
My goodness gracious. Well, anyway, and of course, I want to thank Ashley for the great job that she did on getting the radar sign up there on Haw River Road. I think it's going to provide some some great information for us, and because obviously we are trying to, between that and the public safety that we're working, trying to prevent any other further, public tragedies up there that we've had with, children getting killed. And anyway, also want to thank all of our committees for the great job that y'all are doing. If it weren't for you, we would not be able to accomplish the things that we are accomplishing. So anyway, as always, it's an honor to serve, and we'll see you next meeting.
Thank you. I think we forgot to talk about the Lions Golf Tournament.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to announce that on the back table, there are flyers for the annual Caroline and Tom Brown Memorial Golf Tournament honoring 2 longstanding charter members of our local Oak Ridge Lions Club. And that tournament will be on Thursday, September 28th. More information is on the flyer back there, but it's always a terrific day. Please spread the word. It helps fund the charitable work of the Lions Club. I also want to invite everyone to attend a musicale on August 14th at the Oak Ridge Methodist Church at 7 p.m. that's raising money for installing stoves and water filters in Guatemala, and both Mayor Pro Tem Kinnaman and Councilman Sullivan will be going on that mission trip to help install those. It's going to be a great, fun night of music, and obviously donations are going to be requested. I also want to congratulate Selby Chipman, an Oak Ridge resident and member of the inaugural group of female scouts, who was recently awarded a really impressive scholarship of $25,000, competing against apparently thousands of applicants. But I know Selby and her family pretty well, and I just know how impressive she is. And she's impressive academically, personally, community service, and her work in scouting has just been outstanding. Her Eagle Scout project was the beautiful wood-constructed observation deck that you'll always see when you walk the Headwaters Trail here in Oak Ridge, which is part of the Mountains to Sea Trail. There's so much more, but take a look at the Northwest Observer, and thanks to them for putting that article in there. And the last thing I want to say is I love living here in Oak Ridge. I love everything our staff does. I love the work on council, even when it's difficult. I love what our committees do, and that's how I got involved here. And today marks the 15th anniversary of when our family moved here to Oak Ridge in 2008. So it's a nice thing for me to remember today as we sit up here. Thank you very much. We'll now move to item number 15, adjournment. Is there a motion?
Motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries, and we are adjourned.